Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to my channel. So today, as per usual, we're gonna be doing a makeup and bad movies, but in honor of spooky season, every Friday in October, we're gonna be discussing a terrible horror movie. Horror, thriller, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited, and yeah. So today, we'll be discussing quite possibly the worst movie I've ever seen. The worst movie I have ever seen in my entire life. So today we'll be discussing Birdemic, the 2009 romantic horror flick. When I say, sorry if the lighting's like really intense, it's like gloomy outside and it's kind of hard to like not seem like I'm sitting in front of lights, you know? But yes, the 2009 romantic horror flick. Now, when I watched the movie the first time, I was in shock. Like, I was literally in shock at how bad this movie is. Because most of the time, when we talk about bad movies, we talk about movies that, like, have plot holes or have a terrible storyline, stuff like that, like simple bad things. But this movie was bad on every single account. The storyline, the CGI, the plot holes, the filming, the writing, the actors. It was so bad. So I got interested and I looked and I was like, how much did it cost to make this film? The budget was $10,000 and it took 4 years to make, only because the writer, director, and producer, James, I don't remember his last name, James, he was the one funding the movie completely, obviously, and he used his day job to fund it, and it could only be filmed on the weekends. So some other fun facts is that one of the main characters, Natalie, is played by Whitney Moore, and she later discussed in like an interview or something how they didn't have permits to film in like in most of, if any, of the places that they filmed at, so they got kicked out a lot. And also the director didn't allow her to talk to her co-star after filming. And so, going back to the no permits thing, they're filming in public, right? And wherever they're filming, there's joggers walking by. So the director yells at the joggers, and then Whitney Moore yells at him not to yell at the joggers because they're not doing anything wrong. Clearly, they don't have a permit to film here. They can't rope off the area. And the director didn't talk to her for 3 weeks. No, because this movie was actually a dumpster fire. They actually had makeup people at one point. The first 2 makeup people quit, so Whitney Moore had to take over that position. And at the end of the movie, well, in the beginning too, because we'll get to this, but when they roll the credits, they add fake names so that it can seem more legitimate. All right, that's enough background. Let's get into the dumpster fire. The movie begins with a 3.5 minute long driving scene. It was at this point that I knew the movie was gonna be terrible. Like, I was like, okay, this is pretty bad. Not gonna lie. 3.5 minutes of a car driving down a winding road. And as they're driving down the road, the same probably 15, 20 second clip song keeps playing over and over and over again. And that's fine, you know, everybody loops tracks. It's the fact that the loop was so obvious. It wasn't seamless, it wasn't blended, it was just, because the song had a very clear start to end. It was bad. And then at some parts, I guess they forgot to move the little movie clip, the little sound clip over in iMovie, because it was just silent. And then the music started back up. So, and also while they're doing this, they roll every single credits. Why? It's a movie. Like, the credits are usually for the end. Maybe you get a few of the main characters in the beginning, but like, everybody, the entire cast, because remember, there's a lot of fake names on that cast because they didn't exist. So we meet our main character, Rod. He goes into a diner And this is where he spots Natalie, our other main character, as she's dining. He creepily watches her as she eats. And then when she walks out, he follows her and, you know, tries to chat her up. And he's like, I know you from somewhere. Like, where do I know you from? And it turns out they went to the same high school. And then he asks her what I think is such a dumb question. Are you from here? Y'all went to the same high school. Wouldn't y'all be from the same area? I'm very confused. Anyway, they end up exchanging numbers. And this is when I really was like, this movie is bad. It's the worst thing I've ever seen because the audio is so bad. The audio, the way you can hear the clips cut in, the way you can tell that it was filmed like, okay, you speak. All right, cut, now you speak. It's not a fluid, they're clearly not actually talking to each other. You can almost feel the camera turning around. Okay, let's move on. So the writer probably has some kind of car fetish, James. He probably has some kind of car fetish because we get another long ass driving scene. And this driving scene, we even watched Rod pump gas. Nothing happens at the gas station. I watched it twice. There's nothing that I should be looking for in the background of the gas station. Nothing. The man just pumps gas and drives to work. And we saw all 2-3 minutes of that because that was necessary for some reason. Rod is a software salesman and he just made a huge sale of $1 million. And at the same time, Natalie is doing one of her modeling shoots because she's a model, and she ends up landing a really big gig with Victoria's Secret. So Rod had called her just, you know, to finally break the ice, call her, and he learns about this and he invites her out to dinner to celebrate. So throughout the movie, we have scenes of, I think there's at least 3 scenes of Rod watching the news, and they're talking about the effects of global warming around the world, the polar bears, stuff like that. And that's when you finally start to see what the whole message of this movie is, and that's about how humans are terrible and we're destroying the earth and global warming and all of that stuff. Rod then, in this random ass clip, has a man come over who sells him solar panels, and they discuss the price and where it would go, and then Rod's like, yeah, I'll do it, and then that's it. I don't know, it's just in there. James clearly wanted to hit every single global warming checkpoint that he could, and he did. Rod and Natalie go have their first date, and it's at a Vietnamese restaurant, and this is quite possibly one of the worst shot scenes in this entire movie. And that's saying a lot because every single scene in this movie is shot badly, but this one is the worst because the dialogue is so painful and so forced. Like, the dialogue is very stop and go. Same thing as I mentioned in the beginning. Like, you can tell that one person has talked and then James stops the camera, turns to the other person, stuff like that. So that's what makes it seem so painful to watch, because it's just like, what did you do as a kid? I played soccer. Huh? So after dinner, they go for a walk, and this is where we get a first glimpse at the CGI birds, which many people tote as the worst part of the movie, and they're not wrong. And the birds don't look too bad here. Like, they're clearly not good. Like, clearly none of the budget was spent on CGI. A very small part of the budget was spent on CGI. But you're like, okay, it's not, you know, it's not that bad.
I gotta get going. I just wanted to drop by to say hi to you and to tell you all about the new gig.
Well, does the gig pay well?
Yes, it does.
Oh, that's my girl!
Why did he cut that? Why didn't he cut that? So after their date, Natalie calls her friend, Mai, and she invites her to have a double date with her and Rod. And Mai, coincidentally, is dating Rod's best friend, Rick. His name is Rick. In every scene that you see Mai in, she's wearing a shirt that says imaginepeace.com on it. And the first scene that she's in, she has a poster that says imaginepeace.com on it, which is Yoko Ono's website. I can't explain that one. I'm not too sure. I don't know what he was trying to tell us with that. All right, so now we're back with Rod. He's at work, and the company that he works for just went public, and a lot of the people working there own a piece of the stock. So now they're all like really, really rich, basically. And they're celebrating, obviously. I have no words, truly. So Rod and Natalie go on their second day, and they go to this like little pumpkin festival farmers market thing, and they walk on the beach. And while they're walking on the beach, they come across a dead bird. And Rod tells Natalie not to touch it because, you know, it could be sick, it could be infected, you don't know. This was a really long ass date because they did that, then they went to meet Natalie's mom, then they go out to dinner where they had this long ass dance scene. They danced for the entirety of a song, probably. I think it was like 2-3 minutes. And then they go back to a hotel to, you know, which didn't make any sense to me because they both presumably live alone. So why would you pay for a hotel to do that? Y'all could have just gone to your apartment. So that happens. The next morning they wake up and they hear birds screeching outside. And this is what I think is what really makes this movie terrible. The sounds of the birds. It is truly the worst sound I've ever heard in my entire life, and it's so grating and it's so loud. Birds are attacking the town and somehow blowing shit up. I don't know how the fuck birds are blowing shit up, but I mean literally we see a bird land at a gas station and it blows up. Well, one of the pumps blows up. They feel like the birds are trying to break down the window, so they barricade it with the bed and wait for it to pass. So when they wait for it to pass, they start leaving. They leave their motel room, that is not a hotel. They leave their motel room in search of people, in search of what to do. And they knock on this other hotel room's door, and they meet Ramsey and Becky, another couple. So Ramsey's like, I got a van, you can come with me, we'll go. As they're going to the van, they get attacked by birds again, and they fend them off with wire hangers. So Ramsey, for some reason, when they do finally get to the van, Ramsey, for some reason, has machine guns in his van. That's not concerning at all. I'm not concerned. Are you concerned? As they leave town, they rescue 2 young children whose parents had been killed in the birds. They're like sitting on the side of the road, in and under a car. All right. So they're back on the road. They're just traveling again. I don't think they really have like a destination in mind, but they stop and eat some food, and this is where they come across a scientist who explains to them that the birds are contaminated with bird flu virus, infected with bird flu virus, and that how global warming is bringing up all these bird viruses. How global warming is causing a lot of bird viruses, and then he goes on this whole spiel about the damaging effects of global warming, because remember, that's the whole point of this movie. They start traveling again, and then they stop because Becky needs to use the bathroom. So Becky and Natalie go off into the grass so that Becky can use the bathroom, and this is where birds start attacking her. And then Natalie starts shooting at the birds, but like the birds are on top of Becky, so I don't know how she would shoot at the birds without killing her. But regardless, Becky is dead. So I don't think the birds killed her. I think that Natalie shot her and killed her, but what do I know? So they're traveling again, because that's all they do is just drive until something eventful happens. So they come across a bus full of people who are being attacked by birds, and Ramsey decides that he wants to be G.I. Joe or whatever and save them, and he ends up dying, which is what he gets because, one, again, they were shooting at the bus because the birds were in front of the bus, but none of the windows broke and all the people are fine. Okay, regardless, the people were fine. Like, the birds weren't actually making their way into the bus. I feel like the birds would have gone away eventually because that's what predators do. Like, you just gotta wait them out a little bit. But Ramsey ends up dying, they all end up dying. At one point, one of the birds explodes and this yellow liquid flies all over them. Can't tell you what that was. Don't understand that one either. Stop at a creek to get some water, even though if you recall, I just mentioned that they bought water at the 7-Eleven, and this is where they come across a man in the forest wearing the most hideous wig I've ever seen. This is not even a Party City wig. It's definitely a Dollar Tree wig. What was the reason for him wearing the wig? He couldn't be bald. That man says some bullshit about notice how the birds are only attacking people in cars and at gas stations. Because something about like, oh, you need to go inside. They told him to go inside, the birds are attacking, whatever. The birds attacked them at a hotel room. And the birds did not attack them at the gas station where they bought the $100 gas. I don't know about that one. And if they were attacking people in cars, wouldn't they just keep following Rod everywhere? Because they've been in a car. So they stop at the beach and Rod finds a fishing rod in the back of the van and a little stovetop thing, coincidentally. So Rod goes to fish so that everyone can eat. Natalie collects seaweed and then they cook it on the little stovetop thing on the beach. Now, mind you, there's no fire burning. I don't see any coal, no nothing. So how this thing works out in the middle of the beach, who knows? But it's the least concerning inconsistency in the story, honestly. It felt like nothing at this point. So the birds start attacking them and they run back to the van. And as they're sitting in the van getting attacked by the birds, mind you, they're sitting on the beach. Didn't that man just say they only attack people in cars and in gas stations? They're sitting on the beach. I mean, I guess that little stovetop thing could have been some type of wasteful, harmful thing to the environment that would have made them attack, but whatever. Then all of a sudden the birds fly away. And that's the end of the movie. They go back to the beach and they watch the birds fly away for the longest time, the ungodliest amount of time, before credits roll. And that's Birdemic, shock and terror. If you guys have never seen this movie, I highly, highly urge you to see this movie. It's on Tubi, free with ads. If only just to share in the pain of this movie. And it sucks because it has a good meaning. My boyfriend himself, he started looking over my shoulder probably about like halfway through the movie, and he was like, it's really, really bad. Like, it was painful. He asked me to turn it off, but he did say that the message was great and that kind of makes up for how bad the movie is. I don't think so. I absolutely do not think so. If the birds were done better, maybe the movie would have been better, but I don't think anything could have saved this movie except to have been written, directed, and produced by somebody else, maybe. You see? Yeah. So, yeah, that's Birdemic. Alright guys, if you like this video, go ahead and like this video. Subscribe if you aren't already. And if you see the movie, please come discuss down with me in the comments because I so badly just want to talk about this movie. Stay tuned because next Friday we'll be doing another bad horror movie and I can't wait to discuss it with you guys. So until next time, bye guys.